One of the bigger intentions of this channel is to respond to loneliness and isolation and a sense of going crazy. And I say that because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what the name was. I didn't know what to do about it, but I knew something was going on. And I also knew that no one wanted to know, wanted to listen, or was particularly helpful. And so for that reason, I'm giving this channel a wide spectrum because it's hard to figure out sometimes what's a symptom, it's just a big muddle, trying to make sense of emotional and physical experiences that seem to fit together in some kind of undefined pattern, but which are being actively and passively ignored by almost everyone in terms of approaching it with any kind of science. Now, so for that reason, I'm going to call this loneliness, shame, PTSD, chronic fatigue, and it can go into Asperger's or anxiety attacks and other things like that. And I want to say, though, that the best book that I've just discovered recently is called The Body Keeps the Score. And the kind of final hypothesis of the book, after exploring all the different treatments, all the different symptoms, the history of relating to these symptoms within different countries over the last couple of centuries, one of the best paradigms that I can tell is that trauma, having life-threatening experiences, either imagined, and what I mean by that is that the brain cannot tell the difference between something that is vividly imagined or actually happens on some level. If you watch the brain's responses in a lab environment, you show it, you tell you create a vivid imagination and put the electrodes in, etc., and the brain will respond the same way as if you're actually watching a video of the event or experiencing the event. And so for at least some parts of the brain, there's no difference. But I'm going to break this into roughly 10-minute increments, and I'm going to follow along the story of what's worked, what hasn't, just kind of a journey. And so this segment is about the dual and somewhat confusing parallel story of success and accomplishment and goal achievement and human potential movement and development, etc., and the parallel story of chronic fatigue, anxiety, shame, humiliation, stress, and increased pain, irritability, impatience, loneliness, and ultimately rage. So on the success story side, which my whole world has loved to focus on, it's part of our current narrative of the self-made man and the overcoming our obstacles, etc. So on that level, I left a relatively inefficient school system at 14, designed my own homeschool program focused on health, grounded imagination, ecology, entrepreneurship and sales, philosophy, meditation and metaphysics. And it was extremely successful. I started my first company at 17. Over the next 20 years, increased my income 20-fold. Built my first house at 23, built it on time and on budget, developed a system of building that was, a seamless integration of home and landscape, and I've had very happy clients. As a contractor, I would say that 80% of my jobs are done early. They're all done on budget. Communication is a huge strength, and a majority of clients recommend and refer. And I've achieved thousands of goals, numbers of things on my bucket list, and written 10 books. There's a lot of success and dream, and in the last 10 years became debt-free, started a retirement fund, created an emergency cushion of 6 months or so, started taking 6 months of the year off to travel, eat great organic food. I've done tons of therapy and growth and workshops. I've been in a number of highly nourishing and rewarding relationships, and so this is the success, and so this is one whole track that started at around age 14 and continues to the present day. But there's another story, and this is the story of being physically and psychologically tortured by my father, completely, abandoned, betrayed, and just kind of in a certain way tuned out by my mother, never being able to really bond emotionally with either parent. The trauma of leaving home at age 17, when I realized that there was, the way the system was set up in the family, there was no way to engage without my energy being warped into the sickness of the system. In other words, my own care, my own passion, my own desire to protect my siblings would actually get twisted around and then become a net negative in the dynamic. And now I find that, to my horror, whatever I put into the system that feels good ends up coming back ugly. All my emotions are humiliated. All of my logic is, twisted around. Every effort of care I show is thwarted and used to bring out the worst in me. And I just can't, I don't see any way through that. So I just have a complete family disconnect so that I can continue the work with goals and things. And the logic just broke down to I can't help anyone by participating. My own energy becomes a negative, but I can leave and I can at least not contribute my energy, and I can put that out in the world in a positive way where I have control over how it's being used. And so this step, very healthy on some level. But I was also terrified of deep bonding relationships. I was also aware of my own ignorance because, I didn't feel like my parents were evil. So the only alternative was that they were ignorant, in pain, and didn't really know what they were doing and bringing out the worst in one another. And in us children. I was the oldest of 5. And so I decided I would avoid all relationships until I was around 30 and could at least feel like I had some handle on my life skills. And I did until I was 26. But I had one lover when I was 22 that felt really confusing and painful for 4 years. And so the gist of it is, as I then watched the onset of chronic fatigue, the steady underlying panic that doesn't dissolve with $250,000 worth of therapy, I felt like I've kind of gone to the edge of what was being handed to me as good and appropriate, and wasn't getting anywhere. And this was, really frustrating because I really put everything into it, and to have it fail became a big source of shame. So shame is actually going to be the next segment and topic of this narrative, and we can pick it up there.